How is everyone doing? VB, my friend, how are you doing? BG, Bohemian, Vol. It is time for Alpha. Time for Alpha. Time for lore. All good things in life happens during the lore keepers. Oni, Bob, how you guys doing? Lakota, GM, GM. Let's wait a few minutes so everyone can join because today we are going to deliver some Alpha. GM, for everyone joining. All good, my friend. Chat Robert, my friend, Brujo, Slicer, Neo. Today, I'm going to share a story that has never been told before. It is the story of how planet Earth came to an end and how the mud and the ECOS formed in the origins of the Star Atlas history. She's developing well, still 1 month away. ZM and Agent Solace, Onizuka, Yas Freaks. Good, we have many people here. Azari, welcome. Let me find where Santi announced the testing form for the next season of Holocene, because that's deeply tied with what we are going to do today. Here, I found it. Um, I think we are. I think we are good to start. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you guys here in another episode of the Lore Keepers, where we share the stories, the vision, the alphas occasionally, and all other things related to the Star Atlas game and lore. I'm your host, José the Penguin, and today is a beautiful day here in Brazil. It's a holiday as well, and this allowed me to focus on preparing everything to you. We just had the COP30 for those who follow the world events here in Brazil, where everyone visited the Amazonian forests. And I thought to myself, like, what a better moment to share a little bit about the ECOS lore, the history of this faction. I know many people in the community want to play ECOS one day in Star Atlas. We also have many mud people here right now. Jindo, Agent Solace, other prominent mud players. So I thought we could share a little bit of the secrets behind the formation of the mud and the ECOS. This is a story that I personally like a lot. Uh, Team Team McBurney worked hard on creating this, and this is really something like, if you ask me, Jose, if Star Atlas became a series or a movie, where would you start the lore of Star Atlas? Where would you share it first? This would be the place where I suggest we make our first, our first movie or our first series. If we were to, it's not working, Bohemian, the doc. Maybe Santi didn't release it yet. Sorry, guys. I'll talk to him. See if he. Maybe I am overstepping. It works. Okay. If it works, I am probably fine with sharing it. Awesome. 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 So yeah, but there is another reason why I decided to bring this topic to the lore keepers here today, because the next chapter of Holocene is going to have a heavy, heavy, heavy presence of the ECOS faction, and there will be a huge expansion of the StarAtlas lore during this chapter. So I wanted to bring everyone up to speed with what's going on, so you guys have more context when you guys play the next chapter, when you read the lore, and when you engage with the content that we are doing. And in the spirit of getting you guys excited for this new season, I'm going to share something I don't think it was ever shared about what's going to be the new stuff that are coming live in this new chapter. And the first cool thing that I would like to share here today. Oh, and a reminder, because I had a problem last time I shared alpha in the lore keepers. I literally got tagged on Foundation Room about the alpha that was spilled during the lore keepers. So please, no sharing, no sharing anything that's happening here today. Come on, I want to keep my job. If I don't keep my job, we don't have any lore anymore. So yes, Val is absolutely right. What happens in the lore keepers stays in the lore keepers. And all right, with this announcement made, the first thing that I would like to share about this new chapter of Holocene is that every faction will have a different quest line for chapter 2. Uh, Most of the actions, the tasks, they will be the same. In the sense that, for example, if Mud mission number 10 is to grab, let's say, aerogel, to craft aerogel, probably the Muds and the Usturs and the Onis, all the quests will be the same, so we keep the game fair for everyone, and you guys don't come crying to me saying, oh, being a Mud is easier than being an Ustur, or anything like that. But each one of them will have a different story. Each one of them will have a different story, and each one of them will be sharing a different perspective on the facts that are going on during this season of Holocene. And this will be especially insightful because the main enemy of this scenario will be the ECOS faction. Of course, you guys will be fighting against each other. As usual, this is Holocene, right? Maybe in the future there is a chapter where everyone cooperates. I would love to do this, but we need to test some stuff first. But we now have the tools, we have the technology to create NPCs in Holocene. And you guys are not prepared for what's to come because how how can I put it? While you guys develop your empires in Holocene, the ECOS will not be happy at all. You guys will be mining the shit out of the galaxy, and this will evoke the wrath of a particular branch of the ECOS faction, which is called the Balifa Grove. It's the most militarily inclined uh, part of the ECOS faction, and I'll explain later how the ECOS organize themselves and stuff like this. But they will be one of the major players in this next chapter. Lexi, all Holocene chapters, they are free. So you can play for free. There is a battle pass that gets you some perks, but the game is free. You don't need to worry about paying to play Holocene. If you have a Zinc subscription, you'll most likely also be exempt of paying for the battle pass in this upcoming season of Holocene. And with that said, the way that this is going to work is that, I mean, I think most of you have played GTA at some point, right? And you know when you start messing around and your danger level or your threat level starts to rise and the police starts coming after you, well, there will be something like that for the players of Holocene. As you guys start to overmine and start destroying nature, let's say it like that, this will trigger responses from the ECOS NPC armies. They'll come after you in game, and it's going to be a lot of fun seeing you guys deal with them, deal with the other factions, and deal with everything that we are going to throw your way. We have many things coming this season, but I feel like I can share this little bit of alpha. Another thing that's super important about this next season of Holocene is that we really are working on the infrastructure and reliability of the game. This is like our first and most important core for this next release. So when it comes, it's going to be reliable. You guys will be able to play without problems, iris permits, because this is a condition for the deployment. We are still picking the testers, guys. I think I dropped the link in the chat here. I urge everyone in these lore keepers that if you want to help testing the next season, if you have the time, if you have the availability, if you like this kind of game and etc., you should really apply to being one of the testers of chapter 2, because this helps StarAtlas. This allows you to see the development of the game happening before your eyes, and it's super cool. It's overall super cool. We are very grateful for everyone who dedicate themselves to help us build our stuff, and yeah, this will help StarAtlas move forward. Another thing that I forgot to share, and this is the last thing before we get into the main topic of today, is that we had a very cool brew 2 weeks ago about Project Galia, which is something that you guys have seen me speaking about here in the Lore Keepers. And we brought Brad, the guy who is developing Project Galia, with me. And he dropped a ton of very cool videos showing how Project Galia is shaping up as of now. So I'm going to drop a few of the sneak peeks of the things that we are developing for Project Galia here in the Atlas Brew Lounge chat, so you guys can see how the UE5 story single player mode is shaping up. Gaznor, I remember you asking me to Star Atlas needs to pick some place for me to get myself a house in a planet, etc. And I pushed really hard to get this integrated into Project Galia so you can have a good time settling there, creating your wine operation both in the metaverse and in the real world. So yeah, it's starting to shape up well. It's going to be super cool. Uh, we will uh, have many news, hopefully soon, of the new updates for Project Galia. It's shaping up nicely. This end of year will be packed with things for us to do. Very, very cool stuff in UE 5, in Holocene, on Sage, everywhere. We have new updates coming for Star Atlas. And we can't forget Zinc, of course, PG. You are absolutely right. Zinc is also undergoing. If you have not started your rise in the Zinc dashboard, I urge you to get engaged, start doing that. PG, I'm right after you, literally in the dashboard, so you better not stop grinding because I'm literally right next to you and I want to move up in the leaderboards. So yes, make sure you grind. Make sure you don't forget to do your daily checking. I think it's going to be worthwhile your efforts. With that said, let's go back to the main topic of today: the story of the foundation of the mud of the ECOS and what happened to humankind that led all the events that we have in Star Atlas, the Convergence War, the form, the the colonization of the medium risk zones, the Council of Peace formation, everything that happened in the Star Atlas lore, it is influenced by the story that I'm going to share with you. I will try to not share too many of the details, like the names of the characters involved, because, as I said, we have high expectations for this story. We want to make use of it in the future. But this context on everything that happened, I think it's going to be insightful for you guys who have been following the StarAtlas lore. And overall, it's a cool story. So let's get into it. To illustrate this story, I also want to share some links. The marketplace doesn't seem to be loading the images for me. Let's see if I can get them on the StarAtlas Notion. Just a second, guys. We're doing it live. Here, I found it finally. Okay. Just a second as I share those images. If you guys have been here for a little while, you guys will notice that those images, they already appeared in the Star Atlas universe before on the Solarpunk series of posters that we did a few years ago. I don't remember exactly when it was, but this technology, uh, this Solarpunk technology, which we call it, is the beginning of our story here today. Our story starts in the year of 2150 in the old planet Earth, when humanity had transformed planet Earth into a solarpunk utopia. At this moment in the Stratos history, there was an organization called Gaia, the Global Assembly for Integrative Actualization, which managed to unify humanity efforts into a combined new vision where nature and technology had been woven in a perfect partnership. In this scenario, at those years, you'd see bountiful harvests all across the world. We had billions of humans living a mostly carefree life. Uh, you had those beautiful gardens, ecotech farms, and humanity was witnessing for the first time an harmonious existence with nature, we could say it. We had progress, we had the technology to to turn deserts into luxurious biomes, and things felt for the first time that we were reaching the point where everything would be alright. Like AI was under control, uh, civilization conflicts within the world were pretty much settled between the different groups. Uh, Civilization was thriving, and everything seemed like if you were there during those years in humanity, you would think that you guys reached the apex of civilization, of happiness, and nothing could go wrong. But while there is no everlasting peace, something came, an event came to disrupt this peace. And now I'll add uh, what's the word that I'm looking for here? Uh, a disclaimer that from now on, everything that you hear from me is the point of view of the ECOS faction. Okay? Because the ECOS are the main protagonist faction of our story today. And I want to tell the story from their point of view. In another opportunity, I'll share the same story here from the Mud faction point of view. So, at this moment of extreme bliss, of co-development where technology, nature, and humankind all thrive together, one scientist of this Gaia Foundation developed a new machine that allowed humans to connect their thoughts with the electromagnetic field of planet Earth in a way to try to decode if the planet was actually conscious to some extent. This particular scientist, he was famous around the world. His hypothesis was that the planet was actually a live being, and he was hoping that maybe they would be able to find a way to connect with the planet as a deeper conscience and maybe find ways to even further uh, cooperate with the planet. And the scientist, uh, he didn't gather much support to his technology. You guys can imagine, like, what would you say if someone comes to you today and uh, tell you that, hey, I have a computer here that can link me with planet Earth, and we are going to discover what planet Earth is thinking. Well, this guy tried anyway. He had some good funding of his own, and he puts the machine in his head. And when he does that, the computer starts working. He starts to synchronize his brain waves with the electromagnetic field of planet Earth. And when he's about to see if this was actually working or not, he sees a vision. He sees a terrifying vision of a comet coming to planet Earth. Something from outside our star system had fallen planet Earth, and he immediately gets expelled from his connection. He he has this vision in his mind, and he's like, "Holy shit! Something is very wrong. Did this already happen? Uh, did this is this comet coming? It is not." He starts researching. Uh, he talks with people. He starts saying, "Guys, there's something wrong. Something dropped here in planet Earth. I don't know what it is, but we need to investigate." People start saying, "Man, you are going crazy. Stop with this. Everything is fine. What are you saying? There's nothing in our radars," and etc. But this guy keeps researching, and suddenly he finds a very weird trace of energy in an island in the middle of nowhere in the Atlantic Ocean. He gathers irrefutable evidence that something very weird is going on in that place. He summons other researchers from the Gaia Foundation, and together they all decided to go there and investigate what was going on. And when they get there, they find a massive sinkhole with an underground bunker inside in the middle of nowhere. They were like, okay, something's going on here. And when they open the bunker door, they discover a bioluminescent chamber at its depths. And the chamber was filled with what looked like liquid light. And they're like, what the hell is this thing? And they start to investigate this chamber, but they only find a striking young man with white hair and crystal blue eyes seated in meditation before a hovering triangular object. And he has his eyes closed. When he opens them, they can see that this person is not from this world. Suddenly, a torrential tropical storm starts breaking, Water quickly floods the bunker, and the team works together to rescue this man. And they bring him out of the bunker, uh, try to communicate with him, and he actually replies. He replies, someone is hot micing. Let me see who it is. Is it? Can you guys see? Who that is? Oh, it's Nick Irichiki, my friend. And I can't see, guys, who it is. VB, can you see? Is it Thor? Okay, I think I got him now. So, the guy who appears, they need to leave the island quickly, and on their way back, the guys tell him that his name is Alm. Let me write here. Pure is good. Uh, by the way, let me give you guys the code now because I see a lot of people wants the code. Code. The code for today is fracture. Oh Jesus. The sound effects adds to the story, I agree. Okay guys, the code is fracture. So let's go back to our story here. This guy here calls himself Alm and he tells everyone that he's a messenger from God. And he's here to bring humanity. Oh my god, we have another hot mic. It's crash. Okay. So he tells them that he is an envoy from God and he is here to fulfill God's promise to humanity by bringing humanity to the holy lands that they are destined to occupy. He tells them that their fate lies not in planet Earth, but among the stars, and that he'll do everything in his power to help humanity ascend and prepare the terrain from God's uh, coming. And as the day passes, Alm's presence starts catalyzing dramatic change in humanity. Like he starts sharing technological concepts that defies humanity's understanding. Uh, his technological designs are centuries more advanced than anything that we had. And the humans of Gaia, they start believing this, at least most of them. Uh, and every revelation from Alm drives technology forward, but some of the scientists sees that this this drive forward makes them creates the need for them to harvest more and more of the planet's resources. Uh, and that same scientist that had that vision that led them to find Alm, uh, he starts to have visions. And in those visions, Alm is not humanity's savior, but a harbinger of something vast and threatening. But the guy doesn't have any proofs, and the Gaia leadership overall embrace this envoy of God, uh, and they start accelerating the technological initiatives in the planet. And this starts causing a division between the scientists of Gaia and even among society overall. And those two groups, they start fighting in terms of narratives because one of them want to embrace the technological opportunities that Alm is bringing, while the other are worried about the situation, telling them like, do we need this? Do we need to move forward? And what is this story of God coming here and guiding us? You know, uh, and the society starts to take sides, but most of people uh, st- side with Alm and the leading scientists of Gaia. Uh, People who starts objecting against this development, the technological improvements, they start to be excluded from Gaia Corporation, from those from the circles of power, to the point where uh, they are expelled, they lose funding, they lose resources, they lose prestige, and Aum starts an enormous project in planet Earth. He starts the first orbital constructions, habitats that take shapes above planet Earth, a an elevator that connects Earth to the orbit of the planet, and he starts dwelling in faith. He starts preaching a new creed that unifies the vision of humanity to God. This convergence of this new project with this new religion births what we know today as the Manus Ultima Divina, an organization who believes that spiritual destiny is found in the cosmos and that knowledge, uh, research, and the human spirit is the main aspect of life, and that they would find the fulfillment of this destiny among the stars. Uh, the scientists who first discovered that planet technology, uh, he starts distrusting more and more and more of Aum and this whole religious discourse, and he keeps researching this technology uh, to commune with the planet, the neurotechnology to read the electromagnetic waves of planet Earth. And when he uses this machine, he discovers something terrible. That Aum is acting as a conduit for an entity outside of planet Earth. An alien entity manipulating humanity through telepathic influence from outer space. He names this entity R, and he tries to expose Aum and R. But people are like, what are you saying? Like, you saw this in your crazy machine. And but he starts promoting, he starts flooding He starts saying that we are being taken by aliens. This guy is no god. This guy is an alien. We need to sever the connections. And the mud goes after those scientists. And when they are cornered in an alley, ready to be captured, a group of people suddenly come to their rescue and save them. And the group reveal themselves and calls themselves the Earth Conscious Ontological Society, or ECOS. And this group is also a dissident of the Gaia Foundation. And they come and call the scientists, call everyone. They say they believe in him and that they need to investigate the nature of this being and the nature of Aum, try to figure out what's their end game here, and try to prevent those muds from taking over the planet. When this happens, there is a time gap here where both factions grow stronger. The mud became like a world government for humanity, and the ecos started working in the undergrounds, trying to find ways to hinder the development of the orbital project that Aum and the muds were dealing with, were creating in the planet. And the ecos realized it, or at least they thought, that the problem was Aum. Aum was the conduit of this alien here in our world, and they believed that if they got Aum, they would, find a way to seize the aliens' influence in planet Earth, and it would restore harmony. People would be, would break the spell, whatever they were doing with the rest of humanity. So they decide for a plan. Those guys, they raid the mud headquarters and they sedate and kidnap Aum, taking him back to a secret laboratory under the Eco's protection. And those guys, they start experimenting with Aum, trying to find a way to discover like what he is, what they are doing, and how they could fight against this force or find a solution to the problem. And they discovered that they could sever the connection between uh, the Aum and this outer world being is by placing him in a Faraday cage. So they place Aum in a Faraday cage, and when they do that, Aum starts getting very angry. And when he does that, when he gets angry, he starts fighting. He's saying, I need to go, you guys leave me alone. I have not done anything to harm any of you, and things like that. The world outside start to change. It is as if something in the collective mind of humankind had triggered. The media starts creating massive panic with the absence of God's chosen. Law enforcement around the world starts searching for him, but no one can find them. No one can find Aum anywhere. The Ecos had ridden him very, very well, and no one could save him. And the Ecos start experimenting heavily with this creature, trying to find a way of harnessing his powers to save humankind in their views, but at one point, R himself descends in planet Earth, and he literally obliterates the ECOS laboratory, and he restores Aum's powers, leaving uh, leaving the planet, but not before saying that Alms was his son, was his representative in planet Earth, and that he's doing God's will. At that point, the mud influence, which was already growing, goes exponential. But at the same time, the planet starts suffering the consequences of this relentless pursuit of our cosmic ambition. Like resource extraction starts to go parabolic. Uh, and when you look at the sky, you could see that there was the construction of those massive orbital habitats, but something even more massive was happening. There was like a mighty arc ship, a ship that could, in time, start covering the whole horizons of the world. And the people started to see that as the arc that would take humanity uh, to the next stage. Alms keeps building his orbital projects. He deploys thousands of orbital solar harvesting systems in across the planet's orbit. Humanity thrives on the development that he bought, but at the same time, Earth's magnetic field starts to weaken. Cracks spread across the ground, ecosystem starts collapsing, and climate systems changes radically. Uh, and in this moment, in this time, the ecos start to grow in panic. They lost most of their resources. They they are reduced to a few secret laboratories working with the scraps of what they could have taken from the Gaia organization early in the days, and they devote all their knowledge, all their resources to find a way to try to stabilize the planet. And they create seed bombs, a new generation of terraforming device which would be able to restore Earth balance, which would bring, if we could stop the mud's actions, this device would probably uh, be able to restore humanity. They would be able to bring back equilibrium to the ecosystems. Those things, guys, they weren't mere tools of creations. They were literally organic weapons that they had designed to save humanity. And those guys, they said, okay, we have now a weapon that we can use to try to stop what's going on here. And they hatch yet another daring plan. A plan to strike at the heart of the Mud's ambitions. They wanted to destroy the space elevator and orbital shipyard that served as the lifeline for this exodus that God was preaching. They thought that if they could sever this critical link, perhaps planet Earth might still be saved. They could destroy the mining operations that were linked with this orbital elevator. So they decide for a plan to strike at that infrastructure. So they get every resource that they have. Uh, they get mercenary groups, terrorists, everyone who didn't align with the mud civilization. And they invade the orbital elevator. And this triggers like a massive conflict. Like, you guys have no idea. Like, everything's exploding. Like, the ECOS are extremely outmatched in terms of armies, in terms of resources. So they go and they send a fungal spore engineered seed bomb. That seed bomb starts penetrating the elevator from the ground to the orbital station, and it starts destroying everything. It starts eating everything. The habitats, the thousands, nearly millions of lives that starts that live there starts being consumed by this weapon. And it is a horrific death being eaten by those spores together with metal and etc. And at the heart of this conflict, they decide to go after all. And the ECOS invade the place where Alm is, and after combat between them, one of the scientists manages to kill Alm. The whole structure starts shaking. Uh, the elevator starts crumbling. The ECOS starts feeling that they won until towers of light starts falling from the sky, from the orbit to planet Earth. This enormous infrastructure that was built in the orbit starts collapsing. And when they do, they start exploding. Like there were deposits of energy, of catastrophic power in those habitats that were being used to fuel the machines and this new arc that humanity was developing back then. So what happens here is that Deiko sees this and they see that that outerworldly being starts bombarding the planet with his ship. So R saw this situation. He was deeply mad that Alm was killed, and he starts using a Warhammer reference here. He starts an exterminatus in planet Earth. This triggers chaos, like the Muds seeing that the planet was collapsing before their very eyes, volcans exploding, earthquakes shattering, the tectonic uh, uh, geological formations of the planet. they start panicking and they unite their hands and they ask gods for guidance, and God comes. God appears. He helps humanity. He carves in the structure of the planet together with the machines, with this ark ship that they were building. He he pieces together a portion of the planet who was more stable. He finishes unifying it with the ark ship that they were building, and they flee the planet, leaving the ECOS to die in the remains of the planet. Everyone, so now you can imagine like something like 20% of the mud civilization leaving the planet, and the remaining 80% are watching gods take away their chosen ones, and you are left there to die. The ECOS, desperate enough, they start running and find and trying to salvage ships from the mud's shipyards and etc. They assemble a fleet. Uh, they try to rescue. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I misspoke. 80% of the planet who was with the muds, they managed to flee the planet, and the 20% that was left belongs to the ecos. And the ecos civilization, the remaining ecos, they are like, he was actually God. We are all going to die, and there is no escape from this, and etc. And the chaos erupts, and the Eagles try to seize as many ships as they have at their disposal, but only a small percentage of those remaining parts of civilization manage to escape in the eco ships. And those guys, when they escape, they manage to see the last day of planet Earth as it crumbles, its core being totally destroyed by the exterminatus and all the mining and etc. that happen in the planet. And they vow that as long as they breathe, are the Fotoli and all the muds would pay for those billions of lives that were destroyed in this cataclysmic event. When when this happens, there is an epilogue of this situation. R appears back in our star system, and he uses a new technology unknown to humankind, and he starts farming our sun. And that's how the story of the ecos, the muds, and R the Fotoli ends, at least for now. And I think I actually managed to finish this right on time. Props to me. So, to summarize everything, in the ego's point of view, what the Fotoli wanted, what he came here for, was first to find uh, an army for himself. People that would follow him to the events that would happen in the future through the Convergence War. Second, he found a very powerful source of energy, which was our sun, that was now free from any sentient species in the star system. So, for the ECOS, this was just a plot from this alien species to try and get this powerful army for himself and a source of power that he would use to farm and extend his lifetime. These guys is the canon lore of how the ECOS think the events of the destruction of humanity and how everything play out at the end of the day. Jesus, that was a long story. Did you guys like it? Let me know in the chat if you guys uh, who is hyped to become an Eagles now, or who is hyped to remain Mud. Yes, Larinor. This is something that I told everyone that in the future I'll share the same story, but from the Muds, and one day from the Eagles perspective. J8344. One day, you'll be able to play as Eagles in Star Atlas, or at least align yourself with them. But in the upcoming Holocene chapter, you'll be able to experience a lot more of their lore and how they see the world. Funcracker, there were other survivors, uh, like for example, uh, later from the Mud civilization, there would be people like uh, the Fimble humans. They break from the Mud, they go to the medium risk zone and start doing their own thing. And the Ecos, they actually break into a whole different structure, which I'll touch very briefly now, which is uh, they break into many different groves. Like, uh, let me see how many groves I have written so far. Let's see if I can find it. So I have like 12 main groves, Ecos groves, and 2 heretic groves that were expelled from the Ecos. So in the future, you guys will be able to engage. You'll be able to engage with them. They have different tenants and views. And in this first Holocene chapter, you guys will experience uh, the you guys will experience the Balifa grove, which is the most war-oriented faction within the Ecos. Those guys, they are the ones that burn entire star systems because people have been preying on nature and etc. And you guys will be able to have some fun watching the lore unfold. Like for example, just a small spoiler, the Oni in the Oni quest line, you guys will meet a war veteran from the Convergence War. This guy will be like your guide in this chapter of Holocene together with Sage. And this guy has survived an Oni attack that an Oni attack, no, a ECOS attack from the Balifa Grove, where they deployed a Nanus virus in the Freni sector, which basically killed 10 million people in a single day. So those guys, they are the radicals of the ECOS. And the different characters, they will have different relationships with the ECOS, and you guys will be able to see the different perspectives. So in the mud campaign, your guide will be a diacon from the mud holy church. And the way that the mud campaign goes, it is focused on almost like a war against the ECOS heresy. So you guys will be able to see how much mud and ECOS hate each other through the quest line. And you guys you guys will see that the muds are willing to do some pretty crazy stuff as well when they are dealing with the ECOS. Like, they are the number one enemies of humankind for them. Uh, it's going to be interesting. And the Ustur quest line is different because the Ustur quest line focus on the path of enlightenment and their relationships with the massive destruction that's undergoing to Galia. The Ustur quest giver is not a veteran like the Mudden Oni ones, and I think it's going to be an interesting difference between them. VB is asking about ECOS boss incoming. Yes, there is. There will be boss level NPCs in Holocene in this upcoming chapter. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, guys, I think I spilled enough alpha and enough lore for these lore keepers. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Remember that what is said in the lore keeper stays in the lore keeper. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed, had a good time. Don't forget your ticket. Maybe Santi said it should be over already because we are past the lore keeper's time, but the code was fracture. Awesome, guys. Thank you very much for being here with us talking about StarAtlas lore. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you tomorrow at the gaming night. And make sure to stick together with us because some really cool stuff are coming this year for StarAtlas people. Today we have the Brazilian brew, the Café com Atlas, the Portuguese brew actually. Later tonight, if you are a Portuguese speaker, make sure to come join us, have fun. All right, everyone. See you guys later. Have a nice day. Bye bye.